Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to another little chat. Now, this time I'm talking about the third Beagle, and that's George Harrison. George is no longer with us, but he left us with um, a lot of music, and this is one of his albums. If you can see, it's called "All Things Must Pass," and this was done in his the early days of when he left, and there's a cover on that. Um, he had a successful career, and in the 80s, no, in the late in the 90, excuse me. As we continue with our little chat about George, one of his big hits in the early 70s was "My Sweet Lord." That was one of his successful hits, and he did have some trouble with that because someone said he stole it from someone else. And here's a couple of photos of George from the 70s and George from the 90s, I think. He had a very, in some of the early 70s, when he even started his own movie company called Handmade, and no one else wanted to finance the Life of Brian, so he stepped in and said, "I'll put the money up for the film and that." And the one thing he wanted to do was have a camera or like a appearance in it, and he is in the film where they're all in the cave and you see him in the background and that. So there's another photo of George just sitting there, and there he is again. So he had a very successful. He had quite a few albums and that. As I was saying, one of his main ones was My Sweet Lord, because he started writing stuff at the end of the when the Beatles split, and then he went on to do his own stuff and have a successful. And in the mid-90s, I think he sort of went off the radar, and then he came back in the mid-90s with Fab, that album, what was produced by Jeff Lynne, and Jeff even appears on one of the videos and plays, and even Ringo played on this album. All Things Must Pass. Quite a few famous people played on this. Billy Preston played on it. Eric Clapton. Even Phil Collins did a bit on it. But later on in the 90s, George decided to put together a supergroup. He got Jeff Lynne, Jeff got Tom Petty, Roy Orbison, Bob Dylan, and they was called the Travelling Wilburys, and they had quite a lot. They did 2 albums, but I think halfway in the second, I don't know if it's second or first one, Roy Orbison passed away in that. They lost Roy in that. But they did do one of the songs, and they had, as you can see the picture of them, they had Roy's guitar sitting there as he was singing and that. And some other pictures of them on there. And that's the front of the cover. So they had I don't know if quite a few hits. She's My Baby, Inside Out, If You Belong to Me, The Devil Being Busy, Seven Deadly Sins, Poor Horse, When Were You Last Night, Cool Die Peace, Blue Moon, The New Blue Moon, You Took My Breath Away, and the Wilbury Trash. And the other songs was I can't think what they, but the second one they had quite a few hits on that, and then we sort of excuse me. I think they would have gone on to make more stuff, but I think after Roy passed away, I think they sort of all drifted off, and that was, they only made two albums, the Travelling Wilburys and Travelling Wilburys 2, I think, and one of the songs was then End of the Line. I think it was used for a movie as well, but I can't think which movie it was. But we lost George in the turn of the century because someone broke into his house and stabbed him, and after that he recovered, but he wasn't in full health, and we lost George, and that was a sad loss because George was he was a very good musician, and he made some good songs and that, and his one album was Cloud 9, what he brought out in the 90s, I think, and he did a song when Fab, that was sort of dedicated to the Fab Four and that, and sort of had the Ringo and that, and it's like a George, Ringo and Paul did get back together to do work on those songs what John had left, and the last one was Now and Then, and you've got because they started on that before George had died, and he said this song was crap and he wasn't interested, so they had to put that aside. But in the end, with the technology, they could finish it, and they used George's guitar part in it, so you had all four Beatles on the song and that, and that's where my short talk about George Harrison, late great George Harrison, and his career and his successful career. He had quite a few albums, and one of his big hit in the 70s was My Sweet Lord. I think that got to number one. But after his death, it was released again and that, and I think it got quite high in the charts, and that was a sad loss because he was a very, because he did a song called My Guitar Gently Weeps for the Beatles and that, and he was a very good musician and that, and here's where I'm going to say a fond farewell to George Harrison, and I hope you enjoyed my little chat about George Harrison and the Travelling Wilburys, and his a little walk down his history and the music that he's created and that, and how that we've lost another legend, and there's only two left out of the Beatles. And I'll bid you farewell, and whenever you watch this, I hope you enjoyed this little chat, and want to follow me for others, you are more than welcome, and please come along for my more ventures and talks, and wherever you are, take care and look after each other, whatever time you watch this, morning, noon, night. I hope you are safe and well, and I'll bid you a fond farewell and a goodbye for now, and I'll say I will see you next time.